What if the stories you thought you knew about ancient history were missing their most critical chapters? Picture a world where civilizations rose and fell, where knowledge was gained and lost, and yet some of the most pivotal events have been buried under the sands of time, overshadowed by the grander tales we so often hear. These are not just footnotes in history, they are the hidden turning points that reshaped the course of humanity in ways we are only beginning to understand. From the catastrophic eruption that might have inspired the legend of Atlantis to the enigmatic invasions that left entire empires in ruin, these forgotten moments hold the keys to mysteries that still baffle us today. In this video, we're unlocking 25 of the most remarkable yet overlooked events that shaped the ancient world as we know it. So join us as we uncover the secrets of our past, piece together the fragments of history, and embark on a journey through time that promises to change the way you see the ancient world forever. Now turning to one of the most poignant tragedies in human history, the burning of the Library of Alexandria stands as a haunting reminder of how fragile the preservation of knowledge can be. Imagine a repository of wisdom so vast that it contained scrolls and manuscripts from nearly every corner of the ancient world. This library was thought to house the collective knowledge of civilizations, covering topics like mathematics, astronomy, medicine, literature, and philosophy, insights that could have propelled humanity centuries ahead in its intellectual and scientific pursuits. But this unparalleled treasure trove was not invulnerable. The precise details of its destruction remain shrouded in mystery, with multiple accounts attributing its fall to different events, whether through war, accidental fire, or deliberate action. Regardless of how it occurred, the loss was catastrophic, marking a moment when humanity's progress was set back in ways we can only speculate. The burning of the library symbolizes not just the physical destruction of a building, but a devastating erasure of knowledge that could never be fully recovered. It serves as a sobering lesson on the importance of safeguarding information, as even the most advanced civilizations are just as vulnerable to losing their achievements in the blink of an eye. With this, we are left to wonder what groundbreaking discoveries and profound wisdom were forever lost in the flames. The tragedy of the Library of Alexandria is not merely a historical event confined to the past. It continues to resonate today, reminding us of the enduring human struggle to preserve knowledge against the forces of oblivion. As the next challenge unfolds, let us journey to the ancient battlefield where two rival empires clashed, laying the foundations for one of the earliest known peace treaties in history. As the next challenge unfolds, we find ourselves on the ancient battlefield of Kadesh, where the Egyptian and Hittite empires collided in a confrontation of unprecedented scale. This massive chariot battle, fought around 3,200 years ago, marked a turning point not just for the warring empires but for the broader dynamics of the ancient Near East. At the heart of this clash were two remarkable leaders, Ramses II of Egypt and Muwatalli II of the Hittite Empire, each striving to assert dominance over the lucrative trade routes and rich territories of the Levant. The battle itself was a spectacle of military innovation, with thousands of chariots thundering across the plains, clashing in a chaotic display of strategy and sheer force. Despite both sides claiming victory, the reality was far more complex. Neither the Egyptians nor the Hittites achieved a decisive win, leading to a prolonged stalemate. However, what emerged as the true legacy of Kadesh was not the battle itself, but what followed: a peace treaty unlike any the world had seen before. Thought to be the earliest known example of a written diplomatic agreement, this treaty outlined terms of mutual respect and cooperation, ending hostilities and forging an alliance that shaped the geopolitics of the region for years to come. Copies of this treaty have been found in the archaeological records of both empires, highlighting its historical importance and the shared commitment to diplomacy over continued warfare. Beyond its immediate impact, the Battle of Kadesh and its resulting treaty stand as a testament to the enduring human capacity to seek resolution, even after the devastation of conflict. It reminds us that even in the ancient world, amidst the chaos of power struggles, the seeds of diplomacy and mutual understanding were already being sown. As we leave the dust of Kadesh behind, our next journey takes us to a volcanic eruption so devastating that it reshaped an entire civilization and may even have inspired one of history's most enduring myths. As the sun rises on the next chapter, we venture to the ancient island of Thera, known today as Santorini, where one of the most catastrophic natural disasters in history unfolded nearly 3,600 years ago. A volcanic eruption of staggering magnitude tore through the island, sending shockwaves across the Aegean Sea and beyond. The eruption obliterated much of the Minoan civilization, a flourishing culture renowned for its advanced architecture, sophisticated art, and expansive trade networks. Entire cities were buried under layers of ash and pumice, while colossal tsunamis triggered by the eruption ravaged coastal settlements throughout the region. This event did not merely destroy buildings or lives, it disrupted the very fabric of a civilization that had been a dominant force in the ancient world. Some historians and archaeologists speculate that the eruption of Thera may have inspired the enduring myth of Atlantis, a paradise lost beneath the waves as told centuries later by the philosopher Plato. Whether or not this connection holds true, the real-world impact of the eruption is indisputable. With the Minoans weakened, their dominance faded, creating a power vacuum in the Aegean that allowed other cultures, particularly the Mycenaeans of mainland Greece, to rise and flourish. The Mycenaeans, inspired by the remnants of Minoan culture, would go on to lay the foundations for what we now recognize as ancient Greek civilization, influencing everything from governance to mythology. In this way, the eruption of Thera not only marked the tragic end of one civilization, but also indirectly set the stage for the emergence of another. As the ashes of Thera settle in our minds, we move to a broader mystery, one that swept across multiple civilizations and changed the course of ancient history forever. Moving forward, we encounter an enigma that has baffled historians and archaeologists alike: the Bronze Age collapse. Around 3,200 years ago, a wave of destruction swept through the ancient world, bringing once thriving civilizations to their knees. Great powers such as the Mycenaeans, the Hittites, and the Egyptians, who had dominated the eastern Mediterranean for centuries, faced unprecedented turmoil. Cities were abandoned, trade routes disintegrated, and powerful empires crumbled into obscurity. But what caused this widespread collapse? While there is no definitive answer, several compelling theories have emerged. Some suggest invasions by mysterious groups known as the Sea Peoples, whose sudden and devastating raids wreaked havoc on coastal settlements. Others point to severe climate change, which could have led to prolonged droughts and famine, weakening the social and political structures of these civilizations. Internal revolts and economic instability may have further exacerbated the chaos, creating a perfect storm of destruction. The collapse marked the end of the Bronze Age and ushered in a period of darkness where large-scale political organization gave way to smaller, localized societies. Yet, out of this darkness emerged the seeds of renewal. The disruptions ultimately paved the way for new technologies and systems, including the widespread adoption of iron tools and weapons, which transformed warfare, agriculture, and daily life. This transition to the Iron Age set the stage for the rise of new powers and cultural renaissances that would shape the ancient world for centuries to come. As we leave behind the ruins of the Bronze Age, another ancient mystery beckons, a shadowy group whose identity has eluded scholars for generations. Now turning to one of ancient Egypt's most perplexing figures, we find ourselves during the reign of Akhenaten, a pharaoh whose legacy is as mysterious as it is groundbreaking. Unlike his predecessors who upheld Egypt's rich pantheon of gods, Akhenaten made the audacious decision to shift the religious focus to a single deity, Aten, represented as the sun disk. This radical departure disrupted centuries of polytheistic worship and established what some scholars consider one of the earliest forms of monotheism. Akhenaten went as far as to build a new capital city, Akhenaten, which today is known as Amarna, dedicated entirely to the worship of Aten. This sweeping religious reform not only upended the spiritual practices of the time, but also challenged the political and social structures deeply intertwined with Egypt's traditional beliefs. Temples to other gods were abandoned or defaced, priests were stripped of their influence, and the once complex network of Egyptian deities was reduced to a singular focus. However, this transformation was met with resistance, and Akhenaten's devotion to Aten isolated him from much of his own people, including the powerful priesthood. Following his death, his successors, most notably Tutankhamun, worked swiftly to dismantle his reforms, restoring the old gods and erasing nearly all traces of Akhenaten's rule. Statues were destroyed, inscriptions were defaced, and his name was omitted from the king lists, condemning him to historical obscurity for centuries. It wasn't until modern archaeology uncovered the ruins of Amarna and deciphered inscriptions that the story of Akhenaten began to re-emerge. His reign marked a fascinating and turbulent chapter in ancient Egyptian history, challenging conventions and leaving behind a legacy that continues to spark debates among historians and archaeologists. With the next chapter of ancient enigmas in sight, we turn to a mysterious force that wreaked havoc across the Mediterranean, the enigmatic Sea Peoples. As the next chapter of ancient enigmas unfolds, we encounter one of history's most perplexing mysteries, the Sea Peoples. These enigmatic maritime raiders emerged from the shadows during the Late Bronze Age, unleashing a wave of destruction that toppled some of the most powerful empires around the Mediterranean. Cities were sacked, trade routes were disrupted, and what was once a thriving network of civilization was plunged into chaos. The identity of the Sea Peoples remains one of archaeology's most enduring questions. Were they a single group of people or a coalition of displaced tribes united by necessity? Some theories suggest they were refugees fleeing natural disasters or climate change, while others propose they were warriors seeking new lands to settle after being driven from their homelands. Historical records, like those from ancient Egypt, depict them as fierce and relentless adversaries. The Egyptian pharaoh Ramesses III famously fought and repelled their invasions during the 12th century BC, leaving detailed accounts of their ships and weaponry. Yet, despite such documentation, their precise origins remain shrouded in mystery. Scholars have linked the Sea Peoples to regions as varied as Anatolia, the Aegean, and even the Western Mediterranean, but no definitive evidence has ever surfaced to pinpoint their homeland. What is clear, however, is their impact. The Sea Peoples played a pivotal role in the collapse of several major Bronze Age civilizations, including the Hittite Empire and city-states across the Levant. Their raids reshaped the geopolitical landscape, creating a power vacuum that would eventually give rise to new cultures and empires. The scars of their invasions are etched in the archaeological record, from burned ruins to abandoned trade hubs, offering a glimpse into the chaos they unleashed. As we search for answers to their story, the Sea Peoples remind us of the fragility of even the most advanced societies. With their enigmatic tale lingering in our minds, we now turn to the sudden and mysterious decline of one of history's earliest urbanized civilizations, the Indus Valley civilization. Now turning to the mysterious decline of the Indus Valley civilization, we encounter one of ancient history's most puzzling enigmas. Flourishing over 4,000 years ago along the fertile plains of the Indus River, this civilization was remarkable for its well-planned cities, advanced drainage systems, and thriving trade networks stretching as far as Mesopotamia. Yet, despite its impressive achievements, its sudden decline remains shrouded in uncertainty. No monumental battles or conquests are recorded to explain its fall, leaving historians to piece together clues from its abandoned cities and faded artifacts. Among the leading theories is climate change. evidence suggests that a gradual weakening of the monsoons may have caused prolonged droughts, reducing agricultural yields and destabilizing these urban centers. Additionally, tectonic activity may have shifted the course of the rivers that once sustained their fields and trade routes, forcing populations to migrate in search of better conditions. Another compelling possibility is the overuse of natural resources, as deforestation and soil degradation may have contributed to the economic collapse of this once thriving civilization. Intriguingly, around the same time, there is evidence of cultural shifts, with the remnants of the Indus Valley's urban lifestyle giving way to smaller, rural settlements. This suggests a gradual dispersal rather than a catastrophic end, yet the reasons behind this transition remain elusive, while the civilization's script remains undeciphered, leaving its voices silent. Some believe its traditions lived on, influencing the cultures that emerged in its wake, including the early Vedic period of northern India. Despite its minimal representation in later historical records, the legacy of the Indus Valley civilization endures, etched into the urban planning and engineering innovations it pioneered. As we reflect on its decline, we are reminded of how environmental and societal factors can intertwine to challenge even the most advanced societies. With this in mind, we move forward to explore one of the earliest known legal codes from ancient Mesopotamia, the Code of Ur-Nammu. Moving forward, we encounter the remarkable Code of Ur-Nammu, one of the earliest surviving legal codes from ancient Mesopotamia, dating back over 4,000 years. Believed to have been established during the reign of King Ur-Nammu of the Sumerian city-state of Ur, this code represents a groundbreaking moment in the history of lawmaking. Unlike earlier practices where justice often rested on the whims of rulers, the Code of Ur-Nammu sought to establish written laws that applied consistently to society. Written in the Sumerian language on clay tablets, it laid out a series of laws paired with specific punishments, aiming to create order and fairness within the community. What makes this code particularly striking is its progressive approach for its time. While later legal codes, like the famous Code of Hammurabi, often enforced harsh punishments, the Code of Ur-Nammu emphasized fines as penalties rather than physical retribution in many cases. This reflects an early attempt to prioritize restitution over vengeance, promoting stability and cooperation within society. The laws detailed in this code covered a wide range of matters, from property disputes and theft to issues of marriage and personal injury, offering insight into the daily lives and values of the Sumerian people. Its historical importance cannot be overstated. It set a precedent for codified legal systems, influencing not only Mesopotamian successors, but also leaving subtle traces in the development of law throughout human history. By creating a framework where laws were publicly accessible, the Code of Ur-Nammu marked a shift toward accountability and the protection of individuals under a defined set of rules. This legal milestone, born in the cradle of civilization, reminds us of the enduring power of law to shape and stabilize societies. As we ponder its legacy, we turn now to another revolutionary innovation that transformed human communication, the creation of the first alphabet. Now turning to the creation of the first alphabet, we find ourselves in Phoenicia, an ancient civilization renowned for its seafaring prowess and innovative contributions to human progress. Around 3,000 years ago, the Phoenicians developed a revolutionary writing system that would forever alter the course of history. Unlike earlier forms of writing such as Egyptian hieroglyphs or Mesopotamian cuneiform, which relied on complex symbols representing entire words or concepts, the Phoenician alphabet introduced a collection of symbols, each representing a single sound. This groundbreaking simplification made writing more accessible and efficient, setting the stage for widespread literacy and communication. The alphabet itself consisted of 22 characters, all consonants, which could be combined to form countless words. This innovation not only streamlined the writing process but also made it adaptable to a variety of languages, making it a versatile tool for communication across diverse cultures. As the Phoenicians traveled and traded across the Mediterranean, they carried their alphabet with them, spreading it to regions as far-reaching as Greece and Rome. The Greeks adapted it by adding vowel sounds, creating the foundation for the alphabets we use today. This seemingly modest set of symbols became the cornerstone of written language, enabling the recording of history, the exchange of ideas, and the preservation of knowledge on an unprecedented scale. The impact of the Phoenician alphabet is immeasurable. It broke down the barriers of complexity that earlier writing systems posed and democratized the ability to read and write, laying the groundwork for cultural and intellectual flourishing throughout the ancient world. As we reflect on this pivotal achievement, we turn ahead to another moment in history where the written word faced a grave threat: the dramatic book burnings during the reign of the Qin Emperor in ancient China. As the next challenge unfolds, we find ourselves in ancient China during the reign of the first emperor of the Qin dynasty. This ruler, driven by his vision of unifying the empire under strict control, launched one of the most infamous campaigns against knowledge the world has ever seen. Around 2,200 years ago, the emperor issued an order that would change the trajectory of Chinese intellectual history forever. He commanded the burning of books and the persecution of scholars. His goal was clear: to eliminate ideas and philosophies that could challenge his authority or contradict his centralized system of governance. Works of great thinkers, particularly those associated with Confucianism, which emphasized morality and societal harmony, were targeted. The emperor saw these teachings as a threat to his absolute power and sought to replace them with legalist doctrines that stressed obedience to the state above all else. This campaign did not stop at destroying written texts. In a chilling escalation, scholars who defied the emperor's orders or were found to possess forbidden works faced dire consequences, including execution. This era of suppression inflicted irreparable damage on the intellectual legacy of ancient China. Many centuries of knowledge and cultural treasures were lost, snuffed out in flames. However, the emperor's actions also had a paradoxical effect on history. By eliminating competing schools of thought, he unintentionally highlighted the value of these suppressed ideas. Later dynasties strove to recover and preserve what had been destroyed, leading to the resurgence of Confucianism as a dominant philosophy in Chinese culture. The Qin dynasty's book burnings serve as a stark reminder of how the suppression of knowledge can ripple through generations, shaping not only what is forgotten but also what is ultimately remembered. From these sobering events, we now shift to another turning point in history: the dramatic fall of the Assyrian Empire's great city of Nineveh. Now turning to the ancient city of Nineveh, we encounter a moment that reshaped the landscape of Mesopotamian history. Situated on the eastern bank of the Tigris River, Nineveh stood as the magnificent capital of the Assyrian Empire, a thriving center of power, culture, and innovation. By the 7th century before the Common Era, the Assyrians had established one of the most formidable empires of the ancient world, known for their military prowess, architectural achievements, and administrative sophistication. However, such dominance bred resentment among their neighbors, and over time, the Assyrians' conquests came at the cost of unity. In the year 612 before the Common Era, a coalition of forces including the Babylonians and Medes laid siege to Nineveh in a dramatic rebellion against Assyrian rule. After months of relentless attacks, the city's defenses finally crumbled, resulting in its utter destruction. According to historical records, the fall of Nineveh was fierce and catastrophic, with much of the city being burned and its treasures looted. This event not only symbolized the end of the Assyrian Empire, but also marked a turning point in ancient Near Eastern history. The power vacuum left by Nineveh's fall paved the way for the rise of new regional powers, most notably the Babylonian Empire under King Nebuchadnezzar II and the Median Kingdom. These new powers would shape the political and cultural landscapes of the region for centuries to come. Beyond the shift in political dominance, the destruction of Nineveh serves as a reminder of the impermanence of even the mightiest civilizations. The ruins of this once grand city, now an archaeological treasure, hold echoes of a storied past that shaped the trajectories of empires that followed. As we reflect on the fall of Nineveh, we move forward to examine a pivotal accomplishment of the very empire that succeeded Assyria, the creation of the Persian royal road. Moving forward to the achievements of the Achaemenid Empire, we explore the construction of the Persian royal road, a marvel of ancient infrastructure that redefined connectivity and governance in the ancient world. Stretching over 1,500 miles, this vast network linked the Achaemenid capital of Susa to Sardis in the region known today as Western Turkey. Built under the reign of Darius the Great in the 5th century before the Common Era, the Persian royal road served as the backbone of the empire, facilitating swift communication, efficient trade, and centralized administration across its vast and diverse territories. With strategically placed relay stations and rest stops along the route, messengers on horseback could traverse incredible distances in just a matter of days, a feat that significantly reduced the time it took for imperial decrees, military orders, and commercial information to reach the farthest corners of the empire. The road also became a bustling artery of commerce, welcoming merchants and goods from distant lands, thereby fostering cultural exchange and economic prosperity. Through this groundbreaking infrastructure, the Achaemenids unified countless regions, languages, and traditions under a single administrative framework, laying the groundwork for the development of organized economies and more cohesive governance systems. The Persian royal road was more than a physical pathway. It was a lifeline that connected people, ideas, and ambitions, showcasing the empire's capacity for innovation and its commitment to maintaining order in a sprawling and multi-ethnic realm. This monumental achievement not only exemplifies the strategic ingenuity of the Achaemenids, but also underscores the enduring influence of their legacy. As we marvel at the Persian royal road, we now journey to another pivotal artifact that unlocked mysteries of the ancient world, the Rosetta Stone. Now turning to one of the most fascinating artifacts of ancient history, the Rosetta Stone, we uncover a pivotal key to unlocking the secrets of ancient Egypt. Discovered in 1799 during Napoleon's campaign in Egypt, this unassuming slab of granodiorite would revolutionize our understanding of a civilization long shrouded in mystery. What makes the Rosetta Stone truly remarkable is its inscription in 3 distinct scripts: ancient Greek, Demotic, and Egyptian hieroglyphs. This tri-scripted text was a decree issued during the reign of Ptolemy V in 196 before the Common Era, and its trilingual nature was the very feature that enabled scholars to decode the long-forgotten language of hieroglyphs. The breakthrough came in 1822 when French linguist Jean-François Champollion deciphered the hieroglyphic script using ancient Greek as a comparative tool. His meticulous work revealed how hieroglyphs recorded not just symbols, but a complex system of phonetic and ideographic meanings, breathing life into texts and monuments that had been silent for centuries. The Rosetta Stone is more than an artifact. It is a bridge through time, connecting the modern world to the ancient, and it underscores the timeless drive to seek understanding and knowledge. Through its discovery, we gained invaluable insights into Egyptian history, religion, governance, and daily life, piecing together the stories of a civilization that shaped the ancient world. This singular artifact reminds us of the profound influence of language and its preservation in unlocking the legacies of the past. As we reflect on the Rosetta Stone's incredible contribution to human history, we now delve into a tale steeped in myth and legacy, the catastrophe of Troy. As the sun rises on the next chapter, we step into the world of myth and history intertwined, the catastrophe of Troy. Immortalized in Homer's Iliad, the story of Troy has captivated human imagination for millennia, blending epic heroism, divine intervention, and devastating tragedy. But beyond the poetic verses lies a historical foundation that continues to intrigue scholars. The city of Troy, situated in what is now modern-day Turkey, commanded a strategic position along trade routes linking the Aegean to the wider ancient Near East. This prime location likely fueled its prosperity and ultimately its downfall. Archaeological evidence from the site known as Hisarlik suggests that Troy experienced multiple destructions and rebuildings, with one layer dated to the 12th or 13th century before the Common Era, aligning with the period traditionally ascribed to Homer's tale. While the exact cause of Troy's destruction remains debated, theories range from war depicted as the Trojan War to natural disasters and economic decline. What makes this event so significant is how it symbolizes the profound cultural exchanges between the Mycenaean Greeks and the civilizations of the ancient Near East. From trade and warfare to mythology and art, these interactions forged a network of influence that shaped the course of ancient history. The story of Troy, whether fully historical or partly mythological, reminds us of the interconnectedness of ancient societies and how their legacies ripple through time. As we leave behind the echoes of Troy's tragic fall, we now turn to the mysterious origins of one of the ancient world's greatest powers, the founding of Carthage. With the next phase of the journey in sight, we arrive at the shores of North Africa to uncover the mysterious origins of Carthage. According to ancient legend, Carthage was founded by Queen Dido, a Phoenician exile fleeing her homeland of Tyre. Guided by fate, she established this new city on the coast of what is now Tunisia, laying the foundation for what would become one of the most powerful and prosperous city-states of the ancient Mediterranean. While mythology paints a picture of destiny and romance, historical evidence points to Carthage's roots as a vital outpost of the Phoenician trading empire around the 9th century before the Common Era. Its location along key maritime trade routes made it a hub for commerce, connecting the wealth of the Mediterranean world with Africa and beyond. Carthage's merchants thrived on trade, dealing in everything from precious metals to exotic goods, which fueled its rapid rise in wealth and influence. Over time, Carthage grew from a trading settlement into a formidable power, boasting a strong navy and an advanced economic system. This prosperity, however, came with challenges, as its dominance in the region inevitably led to rivalry with other powers, most notably Rome. The story of Carthage is not just one of economic success, but also of cultural exchange, as its interactions with other civilizations spread Phoenician innovations, including advancements in navigation, art, and architecture. Yet, Carthage's rise also set the stage for some of antiquity's most dramatic conflicts, including the infamous Punic Wars that would ultimately lead to its destruction. The founding of Carthage stands as a testament to human resilience and ambition, reminding us how a single city could shape the trajectory of an entire era. As we reflect on Carthage's remarkable beginnings, our journey now leads us eastward to explore the profound spiritual impact of a revolutionary idea, the emergence of Zoroastrianism. Now turning to the east, we delve into the spiritual upheaval that forever transformed ancient Persia and reverberated far beyond its borders, the emergence of Zoroastrianism. Rooted in the teachings of the prophet Zoroaster or Zarathustra, this ancient religion introduced revolutionary concepts that deeply influenced the spiritual and philosophical landscape of the ancient world. Zoroastrianism centered on the worship of Ahura Mazda, a supreme and benevolent deity representing truth and order in an eternal struggle against Angra Mainyu, the embodiment of chaos and evil. This dualistic worldview, emphasizing the ongoing battle between good and evil, laid the groundwork for moral philosophy and the concept of individual responsibility in choosing righteousness over wrongdoing. Emerging around the early first millennium before the Common Era, Zoroastrianism became the state religion of the Achaemenid Empire, shaping its policies and governance. The religion's emphasis on truth, justice, and the sanctity of fire influenced the empire's administration, as rulers like Cyrus the Great and Darius the First implemented policies of tolerance and fairness rooted in these moral principles. Zoroastrian temples, with their ever-burning flames symbolizing purity and divine light, became centers of spiritual worship and cultural identity. Beyond its impact on Persia, Zoroastrianism profoundly shaped other major religions. Concepts like heaven and hell, the final judgment, the soul's immortality, and the coming of a savior were introduced by Zoroastrian teachings and later adapted by Judaism, Christianity, and Islam, leaving an enduring mark on world spirituality. The Zoroastrian revolution was not just a shift in religious practice, but a paradigm shift in how people understood their place in the cosmos and their role in the moral balance of the universe. As we marvel at this spiritual legacy, our journey moves us to explore yet another story of change and resilience, the spread of Buddhism under the Mauryan Empire, where Emperor Ashoka's transformative vision reshaped the course of Asian history. With the next phase of the journey in sight, we arrive in ancient India, where the transformative reign of Emperor Ashoka under the Mauryan Empire marked a turning point in world history. Following the devastating Kalinga War, which left countless lives lost and regions in ruins, Ashoka experienced a profound moral awakening. Haunted by the human suffering he had caused, he turned to the teachings of Buddhism, embarking on a path of peace and spiritual enlightenment. What followed was an unprecedented campaign to spread Buddhist philosophy across Asia, reshaping cultural and spiritual landscapes far beyond India's borders. Ashoka's adoption of Buddhism as a guiding principle profoundly influenced his rule. He renounced further conquests and instead focused on governance rooted in compassion, fairness, and nonviolence. Through his famous edicts inscribed on pillars and rocks, Ashoka communicated messages promoting ethical living, respect for all life, and tolerance among diverse communities. These edicts, written in multiple languages, served not only as a framework for moral governance, but also as a means of uniting his vast empire under shared ideals. Ashoka's commitment to spreading Buddhism extended well beyond his empire. He sponsored the construction of stupas and monasteries, supported the preservation of Buddhist scriptures, and sent emissaries on far-reaching missions to share the teachings of the Buddha. These missions reached kingdoms across South and Southeast Asia, as well as parts of Central Asia and the Mediterranean world. The cultural and spiritual exchange facilitated by Ashoka's efforts left an enduring legacy as Buddhism took root in countries like Sri Lanka, Burma, and later China, Korea, and Japan. Under Ashoka's patronage, Buddhism evolved from a localized tradition into a global philosophy that continues to inspire millions to this day. His story serves as a powerful example of how one leader's transformative change can ripple through history, shaping civilizations in profound ways. As Ashoka's legacy illuminates the power of peace and spiritual resilience, we turn next to the mysterious decline of the Nabataean kingdom, whose fabled city of Petra still captivates the imagination of the modern world. Now turning to the intriguing story of the Nabataean kingdom, we find ourselves in the arid landscapes of the Arabian Peninsula, where a once thriving civilization left a lasting imprint on the ancient world. The Nabataeans, renowned for their architectural brilliance and advanced knowledge of water management, built their legendary capital of Petra into a stunning hub of culture and commerce. This rock-hewn city, with its intricate facades and ingenious systems of aqueducts and reservoirs, served as a critical crossroads for trade routes connecting Arabia, the Mediterranean, and beyond. For centuries, the Nabataeans flourished, acting as intermediaries in the lucrative incense trade, transporting precious goods like frankincense, myrrh, and spices to distant markets. Their strategic location and adaptability allowed them to amass extraordinary wealth and influence, making Petra a symbol of their power and ingenuity. However, the tide eventually turned against them. The decline of the Nabataean kingdom was shaped by a combination of shifting trade routes, external pressures, and internal challenges. As alternative trade pathways bypassed their territories, the economic lifeline that sustained their prosperity began to erode. At the same time, the expanding Roman Empire absorbed the region into its dominion in the 1st century, effectively ending Nabataean independence. Despite their fall, the Nabataeans left behind a legacy that continues to fascinate. Petra, now an UNESCO World Heritage Site, stands as a testament to their ingenuity and resilience, attracting millions of visitors each year who marvel at its enduring beauty. Beyond its breathtaking architecture, the story of the Nabataeans illustrates how the rise and fall of civilizations are closely intertwined with the ebb and flow of trade and geopolitics. And with that, we shift our focus to yet another fascinating turn in ancient history: the destruction of the Temple of Solomon, an event that reshaped the identity and faith of an entire people. As the next chapter of ancient history unfolds, we arrive at the heart of Jerusalem, where the majestic Temple of Solomon once stood as a spiritual and cultural cornerstone for the Jewish people. Built under the reign of King Solomon, this temple was more than just a place of worship. It was a unifying symbol of faith, identity, and divine connection. Its grandeur and sanctity held immense significance, housing the Ark of the Covenant and serving as a focal point for religious life in the ancient Kingdom of Israel. However, this profound symbol of unity and devotion would face a devastating fate. In the year 586 before the Common Era, Babylonian forces led by King Nebuchadnezzar II descended upon Jerusalem. After a prolonged siege, they breached the city walls, leaving destruction and despair in their wake. The temple, once a beacon of spiritual and national pride, was reduced to rubble. Its treasures were plundered and its sacred spaces desecrated. This catastrophic event marked the beginning of the Babylonian exile, as much of the Jewish population was forcibly uprooted and taken to Babylon. The destruction of the Temple of Solomon was more than a physical loss. It deeply shook the foundations of the Jewish faith and identity. Stripped of their sacred center, the Jewish people faced the immense challenge of preserving their traditions and beliefs in the face of displacement and adversity. Yet, out of this tragedy emerged a profound transformation. The exile became a period of reflection and adaptation, leading to the development of practices and texts that would sustain Jewish identity without a central temple. In this way, the destruction of the temple, while a moment of immense sorrow, also became a turning point in Jewish history, fostering resilience and a renewed commitment to their faith. The legacy of the temple's destruction reverberates through history, symbolizing loss, endurance, and the unbreakable spirit of a people. And now, as we continue our journey through these pivotal moments in ancient history, we turn to the revolutionary concept that reshaped the ancient world's economy, the coinage revolution of the Kingdom of Lydia. Now turning to the ancient Kingdom of Lydia, we encounter an innovation that forever transformed economies and trade throughout the ancient world: the invention of coinage. Situated in what is now Western Turkey, Lydia was a land of abundant natural resources, including rich deposits of gold and silver that flowed through its rivers. Under the leadership of King Alyattes and later his son King Croesus, Lydia reached new heights of wealth and influence, thanks in part to its groundbreaking approach to commerce. It was during the reign of Alyattes, around the 7th century before the Common Era, that the first coins were struck. These coins were made from a naturally occurring alloy of gold and silver known as electrum, and they were marked with distinctive designs to signify their authenticity and value. This was revolutionary. Before the introduction of coinage, trade relied heavily on barter systems or weighed amounts of precious metals, both of which were cumbersome and inconsistent. The Lydian coins offered a standardized and portable medium of exchange, simplifying transactions and fostering trust in economic exchanges across regions. With this innovation, merchants and traders could conduct business more efficiently, paving the way for the expansion of trade networks that stretched far beyond Lydia's borders. Coins became a symbol of trust and reliability, facilitating not only local commerce but also international trade with neighboring empires such as Persia and Greece. The impact of Lydia's coinage was profound, setting the stage for the economic systems that would dominate the ancient and modern worlds. By standardizing value and enhancing trade efficiency, coins laid the foundation for complex economies and financial systems. Lydia's contributions to economic history remind us of the power of innovation in shaping the way civilizations interact and prosper. And with this remarkable leap in commerce explored, we now move forward to examine the rise and fall of the ancient city of and its lasting legacy in Mesopotamian history. As the next phase of the journey unfolds, we arrive at the ancient city of a cornerstone of Sumerian civilization and one of the most influential cities in early Mesopotamian history. Nestled near the mouth of the Euphrates River, flourished as a center of trade, culture, and religion during its peak, around the 3rd millennium before the Common Era. Its towering ziggurat, dedicated to the moon god Nana, symbolized the city's spiritual and architectural achievements, while its strategic position near major waterways made it a hub for commerce and connectivity across Mesopotamia and beyond. However, the story of is also one of vulnerability and decline, shaped by complex economic and political factors that ultimately led to its fall. One critical aspect was the shifting flow of the Euphrates River, which gradually moved away from the city's reach. This geographical change disrupted Ur's vital access to trade routes and irrigation systems, undermining its agricultural productivity and economic stability. The city, once thriving on the wealth of trade and abundant resources, faced increasing difficulty in sustaining its population. Compounding these challenges was the rise of competing powers in the region. As neighboring city-states and empires such as Babylon and Elam grew in strength, found itself caught in a web of political rivalries and invasions. Around the year 2000 before the Common Era, the Elamites sacked delivering a final blow to its dominance. The city's rulers, including those of the famous Third Dynasty of struggled to maintain control in the face of external threats and internal instability. Despite its decline, the legacy of persists in history as a testament to the ingenuity and complexity of early Mesopotamian societies. Its contributions to urban development, governance, and cultural achievements continue to resonate as we study the foundations of human civilization. And with the echoes of Ur's rise and fall still vivid, we now shift our focus to the creation of papyrus in ancient Egypt and its groundbreaking impact on the preservation and transmission of knowledge. With the next phase of the journey in sight, we turn our attention to ancient Egypt, where the advent of papyrus revolutionized the way knowledge was recorded and shared. Long before the invention of paper as we know it today, the Egyptians harnessed the versatile papyrus plant native to the Nile River Valley. By carefully slicing, pressing, and drying the stems of this plant, they created a lightweight yet durable writing material that became the foundation for documentation in the ancient world. Unlike clay tablets or carved stone, papyrus offered a more practical and portable solution, enabling the recording of everything from administrative records and religious texts to scientific observations and personal correspondence. This innovation profoundly influenced not only Egyptian society but also the broader ancient world. Papyrus scrolls became essential tools for preserving knowledge and facilitating communication across vast distances, laying the groundwork for the development of organized bureaucracies and complex cultural systems. As papyrus spread through trade and conquest, it became a coveted commodity, shaping the way information traveled between civilizations. Scrolls of papyrus carried medical treatises, astronomical calculations, and literary works, ensuring that the intellectual achievements of one generation could inform and inspire the next. The material's impact was so significant that the very word paper derives from papyrus, reflecting its enduring legacy. Through this ingenious invention, the ancient Egyptians not only addressed the practical need for a convenient writing surface, but also planted the seeds for the preservation and progression of human knowledge as we know it today. And as the story of papyrus unfolds, it leads us into the larger context of cultural exchanges, such as the migrations of the Celtic tribes, which carried their own traditions and ideas across the ancient European landscape. Now turning to the migration of the Celtic tribes, we uncover a fascinating chapter in ancient European history. The Celts, a collection of tribal societies with shared linguistic and cultural traits, began spreading across Europe around 3,000 years ago. Originating from Central Europe, they expanded into regions that now include modern-day France, Spain, the British Isles, and beyond. This movement was not a single event but rather a gradual process, driven by a combination of factors such as population pressures, the search for fertile lands, and the quest for new resources. As they journeyed outward, the Celts brought with them their distinct traditions, languages, and artistic styles, leaving an enduring mark on the cultures they encountered. Their intricate metalwork, characterized by swirling patterns and sophisticated designs, reflected their rich aesthetic sensibilities and became a hallmark of their identity. The Celtic languages, some of which evolved into forms still spoken today, like Irish and Welsh, offer a linguistic thread connecting modern Europe to its ancient past. Beyond cultural contributions, the Celts also introduced unique social structures and legal practices, such as their clan-based governance and oral legal traditions, which influenced the societies they integrated with or opposed. Their religious beliefs, steeped in nature worship and guided by the enigmatic Druids, added layers of mysticism to the ancient European landscape. However, despite their widespread influence, the Celts would face significant challenges in maintaining their autonomy, particularly with the expansion of the Roman Empire. The eventual Roman conquest of Celtic territories led to the assimilation of many Celtic practices, blending them into the broader Greco-Roman world while simultaneously erasing much of their distinctiveness. Even so, echoes of the Celtic legacy persist in European festivals, folklore, and place names, serving as a testament to their profound and lasting impact on the continent's cultural tapestry. As we journey from the vibrant world of the Celts, the story shifts to a different kind of innovation in military strategy, one that would shape the course of empires, the Macedonian phalanx. Now turning to the innovation of the Macedonian phalanx, we uncover a military revolution that forever altered the dynamics of ancient warfare. Introduced by Philip II of Macedon and perfected during the conquests of his son, Alexander the Great, the phalanx was a formidable infantry formation that demonstrated the power of discipline, unity, and strategic design on the battlefield. Unlike traditional Greek formations, which relied heavily on individual heroics and less cohesive maneuvers, the Macedonian phalanx emphasized collective strength and precision. Its soldiers, known as phalangites, were equipped with extraordinarily long spears called sarissas, which could reach lengths of up to 20 feet, allowing them to strike enemies from a much farther distance while maintaining a defensive wall of spear tips. Standing in tightly packed rows, each man was trained to operate as part of an unbreakable unit, advancing or retreating in near-perfect synchronization. This innovation, combined with rigorous training and the strategic genius of Philip and Alexander, transformed the Macedonian army into an unstoppable force. The phalanx was not merely a military tactic but a statement of discipline and innovation, representing a shift from individual combat to a more organized and methodical approach. Its success on the battlefield was evident in Alexander's campaigns, where it played a crucial role in conquering the Persian Empire and expanding territories from Greece to Egypt and as far as the Indus Valley. The phalanx's effectiveness lay not only in its physical structure, but also in its ability to adapt and integrate with other units, such as cavalry, under Alexander's flexible strategies. This combination of tactics forged an army that was not only capable of defeating larger forces, but also maintaining control over a vast and diverse empire. The Macedonian phalanx became a symbol of tactical brilliance, influencing military practices for centuries and leaving a legacy that is still studied by military historians today. With the sun setting on the Macedonian phalanx's story, we move to a tale of dramatic destruction and transformation, the Roman sack of Corinth. As the next phase of the journey comes into view, we arrive at the Roman sack of Corinth, a harrowing event that marked the brutal convergence of two great civilizations. In the year 146 before the Common Era, the Roman Republic, seeking to solidify its hegemony in the Mediterranean, turned its might against the ancient Greek city of Corinth. Known for its wealth, cultural influence, and strategic location, Corinth was both a jewel of Greece and a tempting target for Rome as it sought to dominate the region. The siege culminated in a devastating assault led by the Roman general Lucius Mummius. When the city fell, its destruction was swift and merciless. Roman forces slaughtered countless inhabitants, enslaved the survivors, and systematically plundered Corinth's vast treasures, while its once thriving infrastructure was reduced to smoldering ruins. This act of annihilation was not simply a show of military prowess. It sent a message to the entire Greek world that resistance to Roman authority would be met with ruthless consequences. Beyond its physical destruction, the fall of Corinth symbolized a deeper transformation. With the Greek city-states now firmly under Roman control, it marked the end of Greek political independence and the beginning of Greece's integration into the Roman Empire. Yet, even in its devastation, Corinth's legacy endured. Roman admiration for Greek art, philosophy, and culture led them to preserve and assimilate many aspects of Greek heritage, ensuring its influence would continue to shape the empire and ultimately Western civilization. The sack of Corinth thus stands as a pivotal moment, a clash that not only demonstrated Rome's growing dominance, but also intertwined the fates of these two iconic civilizations in ways that would resonate throughout history. Moving on, this journey through forgotten events now takes us to the conclusion, where we reflect on the extraordinary ripple effects of these ancient moments. Now turning to the enduring mystery of the Library of Alexandria, let us dive deeper into the controversies surrounding its tragic demise, an event shrouded in as much speculation as it is sorrow. For centuries, historians, archaeologists, and scholars have debated who was ultimately responsible for the destruction of this unparalleled repository of human knowledge. Some accounts point to Julius Caesar, whose siege of Alexandria in 48 before the Common Era reportedly sparked a fire that consumed parts of the city. Others attribute the loss to the Christian zeal of later Roman emperors, who may have viewed the pagan knowledge housed within as incompatible with their faith. Still, there are those who suggest that the Arab conquest of Alexandria in the 7th century played a significant role, with certain historical accounts describing a deliberate effort to rid the city of its intellectual treasures. The truth, however, is likely more complex. It is plausible that the library suffered multiple instances of damage and neglect over centuries, with no single event sealing its fate. To this day, its destruction is as much a cautionary tale as it is a historical enigma. Modern archaeological efforts have sought to uncover any remnants that might still exist, from fragments of ancient scrolls to the very structure of the library itself, yet few tangible traces have been found. This has only fueled the myths that surround its loss, such as stories of secret chambers, hidden texts, or even entire collections spirited away to unknown locations. These myths endure not just because of the library's symbolic significance, but because they speak to a universal fear that the wisdom of the ages can be so easily lost through apathy, conflict, or ignorance. The burning of the Library of Alexandria, whether by fire or by a series of neglect-filled tragedies, remains a poignant reminder of the importance of preserving knowledge and a testament to the fragility of human progress. Moving forward, we now return to the echoes of another transformative era as we revisit the far-reaching consequences of the enigmatic Bronze Age collapse. As the next phase of the journey comes into focus, we delve deeper into the aftermath of the mysterious Bronze Age collapse, an upheaval that redefined the ancient world at its very core. This cascading series of societal breakdowns did not just erase the grandeur of mighty empires, it also planted the seeds for a new kind of world order. With the fall of large, interconnected civilizations, the power vacuum left behind saw the emergence of smaller, localized kingdoms and city-states. These new societies, while lacking the overarching influence of their predecessors, began to develop unique cultural identities and regional innovations, often adapting to survive in a world stripped of the stability they once knew. For instance, in the Aegean, the collapse of the Mycenaean civilization gave birth to what some scholars describe as the Greek Dark Ages. Yet this was also a period where local traditions were preserved and new artistic and cultural practices began to take root. Similarly, in the Near East, the once dominant Hittite Empire gave way to smaller Neo-Hittite city-states, each carving out its own niche in the shifting political landscape. Across the Levant, the disruption gave rise to the early prominence of the Phoenicians, whose maritime prowess would go on to shape the Mediterranean world. Beyond political change, this period also led to profound shifts in trade and economics. Without the large, centralized systems to manage extensive trade networks, regions adjusted by focusing more on localized economies and self-sufficiency. This reorganization of economic priorities laid the groundwork for a more decentralized, yet resilient way of life. Another key outcome was the diffusion of new technologies and cultural practices as displaced peoples carried their knowledge and traditions into new regions. The advancement and spread of iron smelting, for example, transformed societies across the Mediterranean and beyond, marking the dawn of the Iron Age. Such innovations, born out of necessity, demonstrate humanity's remarkable ability to adapt and evolve even in the face of collapse. The Bronze Age collapse was not merely an end, it was a transformative chapter that reshaped the ancient world, setting the stage for new beginnings and innovations that would echo across centuries. To explore yet another civilization that rose and fell in the shadow of such seismic shifts, let us now turn to the once thriving Indus Valley civilization and trace the mysteries surrounding its sudden decline. As the next phase of the journey in ancient history unfolds, we dive deeper into the enigmatic decline of the Indus Valley civilization and its profound influence on the cultures that emerged in its wake. When the great cities of Mohenjo-Daro, Harappa, and others fell silent, they left behind more than just ruins. They left a foundation upon which new societies in northern India would build. The migration of people from the Indus Valley into surrounding regions sparked a blending of traditions and a transformation in societal structures. One of the most significant cultural shifts tied to this period was the emergence of the Vedic culture, named after the sacred texts known as the Vedas, which would form the bedrock of ancient Indian civilization. The oral traditions of the Vedic period carried forward knowledge, stories, and rituals from earlier times, preserving fragments of Indus culture while also forging new spiritual and philosophical ideas that would eventually evolve into the major religions of the Indian subcontinent. Moreover, the agricultural practices and urban planning techniques of the Indus Valley civilization likely influenced the emerging settlements of the Vedic period, shaping their economies and community structures. Even linguistic traces can be observed as scholars continue to debate the links between the undeciphered Indus script and some elements of the region's later languages. This blend of continuity and change speaks to the resilience of human cultures in the face of upheaval, as remnants of the Indus Valley lived on, subtly interwoven into the fabric of the societies that followed. Moving forward, let us now explore another critical turning point in history, the creation of the first alphabet and how it revolutionized communication and connected cultures across the ancient world. As the sun rises on the next chapter, let us unravel the fascinating tale of Troy through the lens of archaeology and contested history. In the late 19th century, Heinrich Schliemann, a German entrepreneur turned archaeologist, embarked on a personal quest to prove that the city of Troy, immortalized by Homer in the Iliad, was not merely a fable but a real place. Schliemann's excavations at Hisarlik, in what is now modern-day Turkey, unearthed the ruins of an ancient city that he believed to be the legendary Troy. Among his findings were artifacts, fortifications, and what he claimed to be the treasure of Priam, a collection of gold and jewels that he associated with the Trojan king. However, Schliemann's methods were controversial, as his aggressive digging often damaged the very sites he sought to study, and later archaeologists questioned whether the treasures he discovered truly belonged to the Trojan era. Despite these controversies, his work laid the groundwork for future explorations and sparked a wave of interest in verifying the historical accuracy of the Iliad. Subsequent excavations revealed that the site contained multiple layers of settlements, each built upon the ruins of the previous one. The so-called Troy Roman 7, dated to around the 12th or 13th century BCE, aligns roughly with the time frame of the events described in the Iliad. This layer shows signs of destruction that some archaeologists speculate could be linked to warfare, further fueling discussions about whether this city witnessed a conflict akin to the Trojan War. Yet questions persist. Was the war Homer described entirely fictional, a poetic amalgamation of multiple events, or an embellished account of a real conflict? Scholars remain divided, with some asserting that the Iliad reflects deeper truths about ancient Greek and Anatolian interactions, while others argue it's a purely mythological narrative rooted in oral tradition. What is undeniably clear is the cultural impact of Troy's story. It transcends its historical origins, influencing art, literature, and philosophy for millennia. The debate over Troy's reality highlights the enduring allure of ancient myths and their ability to shape our understanding of the past. As we ponder these mysteries, our journey continues, moving towards yet another pivotal transformation in history: the founding of the powerful Phoenician city-state of Carthage and its profound influence on the ancient Mediterranean. As the next phase of the journey unfolds, we delve deeper into the enduring legacy of Zoroastrianism, a faith that has withstood the test of time through centuries of upheaval and transformation. Born in ancient Persia, Zoroastrianism introduced groundbreaking ideas that would ripple through history, influencing religions and philosophies far beyond its original sphere. Its central tenets, such as the duality of good versus evil, the existence of one supreme God, and the concept of free will, laid a foundation that resonates within the core beliefs of later Abrahamic religions like Judaism, Christianity, and Islam. These parallels, while subtle, hint at a deeper interconnection in the development of spiritual thought across civilizations. Even as new empires rose and Zoroastrianism's influence waned under successive waves of conquest, particularly with the advent of Islam in Persia, the faith quietly persisted. Communities of Zoroastrians, known as Parsis in India and Iranis in Iran, safeguarded their traditions, keeping the teachings of Zoroaster alive. Their resilience is a testament to a belief system that not only shaped ancient Persia, but also left an indelible mark on human spirituality. For instance, the celebration of Nowruz, a Zoroastrian-inspired New Year festival, continues to be observed across the region, transcending religious boundaries to serve as a unifying cultural tradition. However, Zoroastrianism's true endurance lies not only in its rituals but also in its philosophical contributions. The framework of moral responsibility, where individuals are compelled to choose between good and evil, mirrors ethical debates that remain relevant in today's world. Its emphasis on the cosmic struggle and the ultimate triumph of good reflects a universal hope for justice and balance, themes that find echoes in modern philosophical discourse. Through these lingering influences, Zoroastrianism quietly asserts its place in the tapestry of human thought, bridging the ancient and the modern in ways that transcend time and geography. As we reflect on the quiet survival and subtle impact of this ancient faith, let us move forward to another turning point in history, where the collapse of the Nabataean kingdom reshaped the intricate web of trade and culture in the ancient Arabian Peninsula. As the sun rises on the next chapter, we bring our journey through the depths of ancient history to a close. These 25 forgotten events reveal a world brimming with pivotal moments that often escape the pages of popular history books. Each event, from the quiet persistence of Zoroastrianism to the innovative Macedonian phalanx, holds a unique story of transformation, resilience, and profound influence. They shaped civilizations, altered cultures, and left legacies that ripple through time, even if their significance is no longer widely recognized. Together, they remind us that the past is not just a collection of names and dates, but a rich tapestry of interconnected narratives, each one contributing to the world we know today. As we reflect on these overlooked milestones, one question lingers: what other hidden events might have shaped the world in ways we still don't fully understand? History is vast and its mysteries are endless. Share your thoughts in the comments below and join the conversation. If you enjoyed this journey into the forgotten corners of the past, be sure to like, subscribe, and hit the notification bell so you never miss another deep dive into history's untold stories. Until next time, thank you for watching, and let's keep uncovering the past together.